Well, they historically have played very, very physical against the run and continue to do that. I thought Rutgers had a really good game plan going in, but they're well coached and play really, really hard and have good players. I respect PJ Fleck as much as anybody in the country and their coaching staff and how hard they play, and so it'll be a challenge. You don't play Minnesota and think you're just going to run the ball without a lot of hard work. And so, we're working hard this week to put a good game plan together, and then we need to, put that to work here on a Tuesday practice and a Wednesday practice and a Thursday practice to get ourselves prepared to go play. And that's the routine that we're looking to master right now. So team meeting at 2:30, and we'll have a buddy Tuesday and get to work on it. There's a lot of growth. Davison has always brought an edge to him. That's why I love having IGB around me. He just brings great energy to the table. His an edginess, his a toughness, his a competitiveness, his a grittiness, and he's aggressive. Did he cross the line last year? I mean, you guys can be the judge of that. But we love the competitiveness. He had to learn technically, what he needed to do to improve that, so that we didn't hurt the team. But his edge, and that rubs off on a lot of guys. And this is a team sport. I say that all the time. Your body language, affects other people on the team. And the minute he walked on our campus, he's had an effect. And I think because of that, doesn't matter who we're playing, he's going to bring it every day, and that's in practice, and that's on the field. So, what you do in practice, you're going to do in a game. And I think he's practicing at a high level. We found different ways to try to help with the grabbing and those types of things, the top routes. And so how you practice is how you play. He's a great example of that. Things this summer, we talked about, we got to grow up in a big way, but you're seeing maturity. There's no way to shake it other than that. You're seeing guys handle themselves well, like pros. They're executing on the field well. They're building confidence. I say all that, and you guys know what I'm going to say. Like, we're not anywhere near where we need to be. We have to continue to get better. We got a lot of work to do, but to play the way that we played up to this point shows maturity, and that was a big emphasis point for us this summer. With a team that hadn't had a lot of experience, guys need to step into roles and play experienced. I think to go on the road and get that is only going to build our confidence moving forward, and those are the type of environments we're going to have to win in order for us to reach our goals. This one's a whole different. We're back at home. It's a night game. Should be a great crowd, a lot of energy. I think our guys are feeding off of just the energy around the program right now. So different, whole different set of, whole different scenario this week. Last week it was, we leave on Thursday, we get out there for 2 days, which, by the way, I thought our guys handled that well. Going all the way to the West Coast, it's a long trip out to Seattle. I thought the operations, everybody involved with it did a good job here, because it was pretty seamless. We had a little bit of an issue getting out, but once that happened, I think it's important for our players to see familiar faces, see some familiar things when they get there, and we have to make sure we eliminate all distractions as coaches and as an organization. I thought we did that, and guys kind of found themselves into a rhythm. I thought we actually got closer over those 2 days. We were able to spend some time in the meal room. We watched that Florida State-Virginia game, and just the amount of camaraderie that was going on and bonding in those meal rooms during that time, I think was good. It reminded me last year sort of the playoff, which was sort of our plan. And then getting back on the plane and enjoying that win on a long flight back was great. So really positive coming out of that. But again, we wipe the slate clean on Sunday like we do every time we walk off the field on Sunday. That game's behind us, and it's on to Minnesota, and they bring their own set of challenges. But it's good to be back home and back in our routine. We decided to go max protection with no check down here and throw that ball away. I mean, that's a really good decision. We can live with 2nd and 10. We can't be 2nd and 17. I like the way he extended plays. Even on an extension where you're running and you're getting 3 yards, 2nd and 7 is better than 2nd and 10 or a sack. And I thought a big play for him was the 3rd and 17. We got 2-man. He escapes the pocket. Typically nobody has the quarterback unless it's a 3-man rush against 2-man. He's added to the field goal. I think he scrambled for like 12 yards, and then shortened that field goal, which adds the percentage of make there. So that's all like really great teaching moments for somebody who has only had 4 starts. And in a game like that, And these games are more like the NFL now. And, when we're in a game like that where, both teams are huddling and the possessions are at a premium, these decisions are critical. So, great learning experiences for him, understanding how that works, and for our team in general. Well, I think you're seeing us play with, a fullback, quote unquote, in the backfield, but we feel like the skill set can be handled by our tight end body types. Now, if there's somebody that, fits that role and can do certain things like carry the ball, can insert on run game, kick out on gap schemes, catch the ball out of the backfield, also run the ball, it would be a consideration for sure. But I think the thing about it is you have to bring versatility. So if you're a receiver, you can only run routes and you can't block, you don't have a lot of versatility. You don't bring as much value unless you're just a really, really elite at that one thing. If you're a tight end, you can only block, you can't run routes, or you can run routes but you can't protect, you don't bring as much value. Because eventually what teams are gonna do is they're gonna say, well, he's in the game, he's doing this. Same thing with running backs, like Xavier Johnson and some of the guys that we've had in the past who do multiple things, bring so much value to the table. And so for me, like if you're a tight end and you can line up in the backfield and do some of those things that a fullback's asked to do, you bring value. If all you can do is line up and do those things as a fullback, you lose value, because now when he's in the game, it's two backs. So to answer your question, we're trying to find as many guys who can do multiple things so that we don't get nailed down when teams are game winning us. Everything is about that opponent. But early in the week, you're gonna ask yourself, where are we going? What is the identity? What do we need to get done in all three phases? And so all those things come into consideration when we're making decisions on everything. So there's the short-term decisions that are made, and there's the long-term decisions that are made. So we take all those conversations very seriously, and we go from there. It's great to see guys stick with it, because not everybody comes in and has the college career that they think exactly is going to go the way they think it's going to be. There's challenges along the way, adversity along the way. There's setbacks, and you really find yourselves asking questions about do I really belong here? Is this the right place for me? Am I good enough? There's just a lot of doubt can set in, and so you're seeing some guys in that class who hung in there come out the back end. And you've seen KJ play with just great energy in the game. His body language, in my opinion, was as good as I've ever seen it. He played with great poise. He was encouraging his teammates. I thought he had showed great leadership in the game and played really, really well. Caden Curry. I mean, Caden's somebody who has played a lot of football here, special teams wise, and has made a lot of plays, but now he's a key contributor. And he's had his ups and downs along the way. But, in this program, between what goes on the field, what goes on in the weight room, what goes on off the field here, if you hang in there and you just continue to put one day in front of the other and build resilience up, you're gonna get maximized. And those are two great examples of it. Talking about when you're a young player, you think you know and sometimes you don't. I think you need to rely on your coaches and guys who have been through it before when you face adversity to look to them for advice. And the biggest thing is just keep putting one foot in front of the other. Avoid all distractions. And I think, not in particular here, but just in general, when you're a young player, now more than ever, there's a lot of distractions. And the focus has to be on where they are right now and having a great Tuesday practice. That's all that matters. And staying focused throughout a whole practice, staying focused throughout a whole game, concentrating on the meeting at hand or the walkthrough is very, very important. And so as you get older, that becomes easier, I think. And that's where you can gain an edge against your opponent. So that's just one example. There's a lot of things when you're a young player that you have to continue to work through, but a big part of it is showing up every day. And understanding, we say it all the time, that scarlet line that we cross when we walk on the field every day. The game doesn't care what you're going through. The game doesn't care about your feelings. It doesn't care if you're having a good day or a bad day. And I'm not gonna get into it last week, but a guy who was sick all week, didn't say anything to anybody. The game didn't care. He graded out a champion. Like that's being a pro. That was a veteran guy, was under the weather, but you never felt it all week because the game doesn't care. Once you cross back over the scarlet line, that's why you invest in your faith, your family, and your friends to rely on them to help you through those times. So I would say for a young player that's going through a difficult time, invest in your faith, family, and friends off the field so they can help you through it. But when you get on the field, the game doesn't care, man. You got to show up every day, and that's part of growing up. And but that's the program, and that's part of the resilience of why we continue to work through all these things. And we want to make sure the guys know that we've got a great support group here that's going to help them through those things. But at the end of the day, we got to show up to play. It was the negative plays in this game. It was the sack, and then it was 2 penalties. So I thought there was some good. We were resilient down there. We got the big run that got us to 4th down. We went for it. We didn't execute on the 1 4th down to 1, which is disappointing. And then, but we also found ourselves again, on 2 third longs, and we kept playing. Hit the tunnel screen to Jeremiah, which was big. So I mean, there was positives there, but we want to be perfect. We want to score touchdowns every time we get down there. The goal is 75% of our red zone trips should be touchdowns. We can't take negative plays, and so we'll take a look at that and continue to work through it. I thought some of the things that we had down there were good, but when you're down in the red area, it's not easy. You can see, some of the teams we're playing against, in our defense, the challenges they're presenting. And when you only have 6 possessions, you've got to be really good. And understanding that is critical. So we do, and we're going to keep swimming away at it. Yeah, that was all of our receivers, all of our running backs can play receiver. That's sort of a prerequisite now because of what we were just talking about. With Bill's you have to be able to play multiple things. If you're just a running back and you can't run a route out of the backfield or line up a receiver if we need you to, or you can't protect, you're not bringing a lot to the table. And all these guys can do that. Bo, when he was young, I thought he was going to be a receiver because of how well he ran routes on the outside when he used to come to camp. And then as he grew up and got stronger, you realized he was going to be a running back, but he can do multiple things. CJ started out as a receiver. And James can catch the ball out of the backfield, so can Isaiah West. So as the season goes on, you'll start to see that, sort of like we did with Trey and Quinshawn, become more and more of a weapon. Because that's something that has to happen as a running back here in this offense. Man, the way he handles his business, the way he plays, the way he leads, the way he communicates, it's like having a coach out there. And I think he's had a big part of the maturity of our defense every day. They watch the way he works. If he doesn't like something, he calls it out, and he's a big part of the reason why our defense has had success so far to this point. Not only his play and his versatility, you guys know he started out as a safety, came down, played linebacker, he can do things off the edge, so he has a lot of versatility as a player, but he's very, very intelligent, and he communicates well. So all of those things have had a major impact on our defense and allow us to do different things. About field goal because Tyler Bowen does the field goal, and then on defense, everybody's involved. And Sam McGrath really helps with that, and I thought they did a nice job. Like for instance, on the field goal, that was a huge stop in the game. Apparently they maybe saw something on film, and we were able to change that up. But yeah, those are the plays. You don't make that play and they get the fake field goal and score a touchdown. You never know what happens. The punt return, we fumble, we don't fumble, who knows what that game looks like. So we're not pleased with the kickoff return getting towards midfield. We're going to get that fixed. That was a misfit. But to your point, every play matters more and more. And so we got to be, special teams have to be an advantage for us. We put a lot of work into it. We got a lot of buy-in in the program, coaches and players. And, so we say our best players play, and if we decide to pull somebody out, it's because we decide to. And then we try to find, young guys to get in there. Aaron Scott's a player who, to me, he made the play that he made in the game through the last couple of weeks. The last 13 times that we've run down on kickoff, he was the first guy to the 30-yard line. Then he gets there, in the game, and he makes that hit inside the 20-yard line. Why? Because for the last 13 times, he was the first guy to the 30-yard line. It's a great example. Aaron Scott's going to start playing more football around here. And so that's how you cut your teeth on special teams, and that's the culture that we have, and the guys buy into it. Well, like you said, when you only have six possessions and 60 some odd plays, those reps are valuable, and so there's not as many in that type of a game to go around. I think there's going to be plenty more to go around for these guys, and we need all of them. I think they're all growing in different areas. I think you start with CJ, who is still figuring out this, this offense and how we do things here and the expectation. And he's growing. He's done some really good things, made some big plays already for us. And so he's going to continue to get better. I think every time Bo and James get on the field, you know, they're sort of doing it for the first time a lot of times. And so, you know, you're seeing the growth from those guys. They need to play. The more they play, the more you're gonna find out about them, and they're gonna grow. And the only time as a running back, you gotta play. And the quicker they learn, the better their career is gonna go. I feel stressed about being on every single play. I know the defense is playing good, but that's not the way it is on the headset or how it is on Sundays after watching the film. We expect to execute at a high level, and when we don't, it doesn't go very well. So, you know, there are certain strategies that we're using for different reasons. I won't get into all of them on how we're attacking some of these games. With, again, kind of what we were talking about before, the short-term goal of winning, and then you have to look at it from a wide lens of where do we need to be at the end of the season. And, you know, we can't, it's such a balance, you know, like we do have to be right now. We have to take a game after game, day after day, put one game in front of the other, all those things. But at some point you gotta look out and say, okay, this is a you know, long run, a bunch of sprints, not a marathon. That's sort of how we look at it. But when you look at it from a wide lens, we have to have a plan on what we're doing. And there's a lot of different things that go into that, but one thing that isn't compromised is the execution. That has to be at a high level. So, you know, we're chasing that, and we need to. I think we had 16 plays on Saturday of over 10 yards. I think that's what it was. I think it was more like 25 plays over 8 yards or something like it was close. When you have 60 plays, that's a pretty good day at the office. But situational things come in, and when you have 6 possessions, it can go fast. So all those things are taken into consideration, and we're expecting though to score touchdowns every time we touch the ball. I think you have an identity and you have a core of what you think you are, and then you go into other areas to figure out how you can diversify. And I think that's the balance we try to find every week. We've had 6 returns, and he's had to make 2 tackles, so that's not a good percentage for the kickoff team.
But having a kicker that's willing to do that, what does it do for you?
Well, he was special teams player of the week because of it. He and Aaron Scott were co-special teams players of the week, and he made his field goals here, but then he stuck his nose in there. He got him on the ground. When if he didn't do that, you know, Paul would have been past midfield at the very least. So that's why the kickers are involved in everything, mat drills and everything we do in the weight room, and he got run over slow, but he got him down.
The rise of Arvell Reese.
Well, I thought the play that he made early in the game on the spy when Williams escaped to his left, out in space. This is a guy, you know, I kind of used the rabbit as an example, trying to chase a rabbit. It was so quick. And just the way that he was able to twitch, change direction, get on the ground, it caught me in game. He's got great twitch, he's got great power, and you know, every day he's getting better as a football player. I use the example of when he was a linebacker when he got here. He went in and played defensive line for a month or 2 months during when he was on the scout team as a freshman. It's a great example of a player who used that opportunity to get better, because now, like you said, coaches can put him over the line of scrimmage, he can rush the passer because of what he learned in that moment. Where some guys would say, oh, I'm just down on the scout team and now I'm playing defensive end. No, that's an opportunity to learn from. And now he has that versatility, just like on offense, to be able to play it at 2 different levels. And Sonny's an example of someone that's played at 3 different levels. And those are all really valuable, just like on offense. But he certainly has become a huge part of our defense.